Good evening, everyone. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Zhang. Here is a look at some of today's top stories. Firefighters continue to battle a massive blaze in the California desert. A strong storm helped, but wind shifts could be dangerous for fire crews. The illegal lab found in Fresno County continues to draw concern. One expert on China says there could be more secret labs around the country. Rent is due soon for people living in LA, but the mayor says she has a plan to make sure tenants are protected. It's a big day in San Francisco. The city celebrated the 150th birthday of their iconic cable cars. On August 2nd, 1873, inventor Andrew Halliday gripped an underground cable that pulled his small rail car along Clay Street. Soon, the cable cars dominated San Francisco's transit scene. Then, over the next century, these cars saw the city's development from steam power to electricity and lived through the 1906 earthquake and fire. Today, the cars serve as one of the city's famous symbols and tourist attractions. On Wednesday, Mayor London Breed and Representative Nancy Pelosi and other city officials held a mini party at Powell Station. Now to the wildfire in the state. A heavy downpour helped the firefighters battling a massive blaze in California and Nevada. But meteorologists warn that sudden erratic wind shifts could endanger crews later on.
According to the National Weather Service, the 15-minute downpour early Tuesday helped firefighting efforts at the Mojave National Preserve. But thunderstorms could pose problems if they pass over the area. The York fire was partially contained by Tuesday morning after igniting last week and spreading into Nevada. The flames scorched tens of thousands of acres of desert scrub, juniper, and Joshua tree woodland.
The Mojave National Preserve is a complex and sometimes delicate ecosystem, and so we're implementing what are called MIST tactics, which is minimal impact suppression tactics. Now, this is a full suppression fire. We are absolutely going after this fire on all fronts, but we use these MIST tactics so we cut just enough line to be able to control the fire, and we don't get too crazy with it. We're not using bulldozers or any other kind of mechanized equipment. And so we're being very careful of what we refer to as being light on the land.
Now the largest wildfire of the season in California, the blaze was mapped at over 82,000 acres on Wednesday morning, with 30% containment.
We're one team, one fight. So we've got resources from California, we've got resources from Nevada, from the Park Service, from BLM, from a variety of local government agencies as well. And you mentioned CAL FIRE, they're with us here as well.
People said the fire started on private property, but the cause is unknown. The investigation is ongoing.
Concerns arise over the Chinese biolab discovered in a California warehouse. The secret lab contained around 20 potentially infectious agents, including the coronavirus and HIV. Roughly 1,000 lab mice were also found. One expert says there are undoubtedly more of the labs on U.S. soil. NTD's Jeremy Sandberg has more.
Fresno County authorities first discovered the unlicensed laboratory in Reedley, California in March this year. Officials closed the site at the end of May. The lab was operated by Chinese medical company Prestige Biotech. It contained at least 20 potentially infectious agents, including the CCP virus, HIV, hepatitis, herpes, E. coli, and malaria. Roughly 1,000 white lab mice were also found. China expert Gordon Chang told NTD's Stefania Cox it would be safe to assume more labs like it exist in the U.S.
This has been called mysterious, but we know enough, and we have to be extremely concerned. This lab was supposed to be making COVID-19 and pregnancy tests, but they found a lot of things in the lab that are inconsistent with that explanation, including at least 20 agents for various diseases. And also, there were about 1,000 white lab mice there that were genetically engineered to carry pathogens. So we have to assume that this was a biological weapons facility in the United States, probably was going to spread disease in the months before the Chinese planned to launch a war in Asia. And there are undoubtedly other facilities like this in the U.S. That's our assumptions that we need to work under.
The lab was found roughly 40 miles from Naval Air Station Lemoore.
I think that the purpose of the lab was maybe not so much infecting personnel at a military installation, but just a general biological weapons attack on the American people.
Chang says it's an act of war, and those involved should be sent to Guantanamo detention camp indefinitely until the matter is sorted out.
I think this is part of China's plan to weaken the United States. With regard to COVID-19, I think it was genetically engineered, maybe 98, 99% probability of that. But Steph, there's something that's 100% certain, and that is that once this disease got out into the Chinese population, Xi Jinping decided to spread it beyond China's borders. You know, at critical times in December 2019 and January 2020, they lied about transmissibility. They told the world it was not contagious when they knew that it was. And while they were locking down their own country, they were pressuring others, especially the U.S., to take arrivals from China without restrictions. You put those two things together, and the only conclusion is they wanted to spread this disease. Now we find this facility in Reedley. They want to spread another disease. We need to start looking at other Chinese-owned facilities in the United States. And this is not racial. It's just because no Chinese entity, no Chinese individual can resist the demand from the Communist Party, which has made it clear that the United States is an enemy. We need to fight back. The Chinese think they're at war. We're thinking that we're at peace. We're just oblivious right now.
A federal criminal investigation into the lab is ongoing. Jeremy Sandberg, NTD News.
Time is ticking for rent repayment in Los Angeles. The LA mayor takes center stage as she unveils her plan to ensure tenants are protected and housed.
Los Angeles city officials are pushing out the message that help is available, aiming to ensure that tenants remain housed. This comes as Angelenos face a pressing deadline on Tuesday to repay back rent spanning the initial 18 months of the coronavirus pandemic. During a news press conference held at City Hall on Monday, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass emphasized the importance of providing assistance not only to tenants, but also to landlords.
Our message today to Angelenos is clear. Do not self-evict. If you receive a notice, file a response. And most importantly, reach out to the city for support. I've been working with our partners on the City Council, as well as the Housing Department and the Mayor's Fund to prepare this unprecedented approach of proactive outreach directly to tenants and landlords at risk of eviction and work to ensure that tenants and landlords have the resources they need during this important time.
The Mayor's Fund is working with the LA Housing Department to launch public information campaigns to inform tenants about protections and resources for Angelenos.
In the coming days, the City Council will consider proposals from my office to utilize Measure ULA dollars to fund rental assistance, including a short-term emergency assistant program, an eviction defense prevention program, a tenant outreach and education program, and a protections from tenant harassment program to educate tenants as well as landlords about their rights.
Mayor Bass says in order to solve the city homelessness crisis, her team has to work to prevent people from falling into homelessness in the first place. Councilwoman Nithya Raman shares the importance of the resources the city officials are offering.
One of the most devastating parts of this work is that the people who need support the most often don't know about the resources that are available to them.
Raman says because of the new tenant legislative pieces that they passed in January, landlords now have to file with LHD every time they file a notice to evict their tenants.
This means that we have an opportunity to target our resources to those people who are most at risk of losing their homes because of an inability to pay. The city will be reaching out to people who are receiving these notices to let them know what this notification means for them, helping them to file a response within the time provided if they have already received a UD, and ensuring that they are aware of any resources that are available to them, whether it be case management, legal support, or settlement money for back rent owed through the eviction defense program.
Raman also says that the Mayor's Fund, her team, and their partnership with the courts are doing as much as possible to ensure that tenants have the resources they need at this critical moment.
The courts are going to substantially expand notices for those who have received a UD filing, including ways of telling people how to connect with all of the services that are available to them, and simplifying that language to make it easier for lay people to understand what they are receiving. The courts will also be expanding on-site resources in the courthouses for people in need.
Rahman noted that eviction filings from the past 12 months were 27,000, and if they continue at the rate, it will increase by another 10,000 for this upcoming year. Information on tenants' rights can be found at stayhousedla.org/tenant-rights.com. Christina Corona, NTD News, Los Angeles.
We'll now take a short break, everyone, but here's what we have for you when we come right back. Activists in Southern California call on people to help fight against child trafficking. They held a caravan to raise awareness. San Jose's mayor reveals a new plan to build stronger communities. He says many people are facing loneliness and disconnection coming out of the pandemic. We'll hear from locals who joined National Night Out, an event to honor police officers. People from around the Bay Area share their stories as they enjoyed an evening of socializing and fun. Those stories and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today, everybody. I'm your host, David Zhang. Fighting child trafficking in Southern California. Advocates are calling on people to help end crimes that harm society's most vulnerable. NTD's Christina Corona has more.
Advocates for ending child trafficking held an event on Sunday called Save the Children Caravan to inform people that concerned citizens are aware of and against trafficking, slavery, and anything harming children. Cars and motorcycles will drive together from point A to point B, honking at major intersections and drawing attention to posters and messages displayed throughout the caravan. We spoke with Sabrina Anderson, an advocate for Save the Children, who tells us about the importance of the event.
The event is a caravan to bring people together to pass out information so that when we drive by, we bring awareness to our community that we are actively involved and we don't like the situation, and hopefully encouraging other people to also do research and get involved themselves.
Anderson tells us what she believes is the dominant reason for trafficking in the United States, especially in California.
Immigration, definitely. The economy, it's a booming industry. So obviously people who want to make money illegally or very quickly are aware that it's a possibility for them. So it's an open market for them to be making money on human beings and children. Any one of the border states, definitely north and south. I think it's a comparable problem, but honestly, sexual trafficking has been reported in all 50 states in the United States. So you can't even say it's just anybody's one problem. California is an easy victim because we have tourism.
We spoke with Myra Honde, who shares what inspired her to get involved with Save the Children Caravan and to help bring awareness to others.
I always knew about child sex trafficking, but I always felt that the topic was discouraged around my circles. So now that I went to go see The Sound of Freedom, it inspired a spark in my heart to go ahead and move towards advocating towards ending child sex trafficking. One of the quotes that really hit me is, if you're not doing anything about it, then you're part of the problem, right? So I don't want to be part of a problem. I want to be part of solving and resolving the issue. So here we are all together trying to make a difference in the world. We have to stop child sex trafficking. It's so important.
Myra shares that in America alone, child sex trafficking is a $3 billion industry.
And then we have children who are being sexually abused 5 to 10 times a day, and they're from the ages of 5, 10, 11. I just want to see that you put yourself in that position. If you're a parent or you have a brother or a sister, imagine that individual having to go through that pain. We have to stop this. We have to be the voices to raise awareness and stop this.
And what you can do to help get involved to bring awareness in your area.
You get involved, you donate, you start asking questions, you start following policy, you start paying attention. Just stop being ignorant and not doing something about the problem. Asking your local police department and your counties what they're doing and how you can help them with resources to continue to fight the battle.
For information on ways to help fight human trafficking, you can visit www.state.gov/20 ways you can help fight human trafficking. Christina Corona, NTD News, California.
One of the last surviving cast members from the original Wizard of Oz has passed away. Her life as an actress and TV host is now remembered in a book dedicated to her children.
Betty Ann Bruno passed away on July 30th in Sonoma. The 91-year-old was a longtime reporter and television host for KTVU in San Francisco. According to her website, Bruno started out as a political talk show producer and host. She later became an investigative reporter with a beat on political corruption or corporate wrongdoing. She was also one of the last surviving cast members from The Wizard of Oz. When she was 7, she was one of the dozen little girls singing and dancing in Munchkinland. When she retired, she became known as the Hula Lady, who taught hula dancing and did shows around the Bay Area. She wrote a book detailing her life called The Munchkin Diary for her 3 sons. She wanted them to see the truth of her life experiences, but she didn't publish it until 20 years later when she was 90.
Loneliness and disconnection hurt people, families, and communities. But San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan plans to fix that. He has a new program that encourages people to get to know their neighbors. NTD's David Lamb tells us more.
On National Night Out, San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan announced Together SJ. That's a new initiative focused on connecting neighbors to build a safer and cleaner community.
Especially coming out of the pandemic, Americans report feeling less connected to one another, feeling lower levels of trust, higher levels of depression. We all know we have a mental health crisis on our hands, and the city of San Jose is going to do its part to bring our community together.
This particular neighborhood is mostly of renters, and it's harder to engage them and get them united in informed neighborhoods.
The funds come from a $1 million grant from the Newsom administration. Mahan says the city will be able to expand neighborhood watch, emergency preparedness trainings, and cleanup and beautification work, and even have similar events such as National Night Out.
Giving our neighborhood leaders and their neighbors the tools they need to cover up graffiti on a regular basis, to do weed abatement, to plant trees, to do litter pickups, and to do that on a recurring basis. And dumpster days, by the way, which are very popular here in San Jose.
What you are doing this evening by participating in National Night Out is more than simply meeting or reconnecting with neighbors. It's strengthening your neighborhoods.
But the city needs neighborhood associations to sign up to be part of the pilot program, which is expected to last up to 12 months.
Let us stand united and foster a sense of belonging by making our neighborhood a place where safety is a shared responsibility. Together, we can build a strong, secure community that thrives for generations to come.
This program fundamentally is about building social connection and community. That to me is the foundation. What we do with that is hopefully leverage city resources to make our neighborhoods safer and cleaner.
Residents will also be surveyed to see if improvements have been made in 1 year. The Silicon Valley mayor says if this initiative is fruitful, he hopes other cities across the U.S. can follow a similar model. In San Jose, California, David Lamb, NTD News.
Speaking of National Night Out, NTD's Sean Morgan spoke to locals in Union City to hear their stories and why they decided to come out and join the fun. Let's take a look at what the people had to say.
The first Tuesday of every August is National Night Out. This is the day for police officers from all across the country to build relationships with local communities. They hosted 72 organizations and held free food and entertainment. I went to check it out.
We're really happy to be part of this event because it's a chance for police and other first responders to give back to the community, and we like every opportunity that we have to be able to do that.
There's a saying that's been said for years: people do not trust who they do not know. It's very common. It's the typical stranger concern. And with us, we want people to know us, and we want to provide plenty of opportunities where people can come out and get to know who we are as individuals, learn a little bit about our hobbies, our families, and why we serve.
And the Union City is one of the most diverse cities in the United States. And we have lots of immigrants, people from China, from the Asian, like Indian, Filipinos, and we're normally afraid with law enforcement people, like police. We get nervous. And then, and only the dialogue and the comfortable, we know what the people's needs. We can serve the city much better.
Because the police officers saved our life. So when my wife was pregnant, was 8 months pregnant, and we had a serious car accident. So both cars was totaled. So imagine how hard is the impact. So the police officers was just show up like 3 to 4 minutes to rescue us.
No matter how hard the day is, no matter how hard you go through something, there is nothing that's more rewarding than being able to help somebody. You know, you're able to go to do something, you're able to save somebody's life, you're able to go to somebody who's in their lowest and their darkest moment, and you're able to bring them back up and encourage them to see the next day.
Before the accident, we don't touch with the police officers. We don't know nothing about them, right? But after that, we see their professional working, and how do they help us, and they help us from their heart. It's not like just, okay, I'm doing my procedures, right? So this really let me feel like, all right, so this make this community different.
You know, there may be a day where somebody doesn't like you. At the end of the day, when you're able to go home and you know that you helped somebody, there's no job that can replicate that. And I would do it over and over again.
Usually, most of the interactions that we have with cops are kind of in a negative light. But I think like this time, like they had like a hosted event, and like we came and we spoke with them, and most of them we just had like nice, respectful discussions. We asked them questions. I think it was a good event overall.
Yeah. Most of the time, if somebody has like a view of a police officer or a police department, you know, being able to talk to them and being able to just kind of explain what we do and why we do a lot of things we do, I think it's able to bridge a lot of the gaps. And I think these days, and just being able to show that we're all human is huge.
To be honest, if a city, it's a huge city, it hit with the nuclear bombs, people can rebuild the city. But if you make the city non-safe, everybody leave the city. The city become empty. It will never come back.
Thank you for joining me today. In Union City, Sean Morgan, NTD News.
All right, everybody, that's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts at ntd.com/California-today. You'll find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Gunjing World, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. If you'd like to share a news tip or let us know how we're doing, we'd love to hear from you. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.